Thank you very much, Professor Mohammed. I am particularly delighted with the dynamic nature of the logo. It suggests movement, and especially in this digital period where it becomes so easy to animate and do things, it's also forward-looking. You know, we could have gotten a logo that spoke to aging and non-techie, but we thought no, that this is a better logo for us. So I am particularly delighted with it. To explain the objectives and methodology of the project, I'd like to invite Dr. Angelique Nixon, who's responsible for, she's going to speak on project research. She's a project research design coordinator. Dr. Nixon is a lecturer, an activist, a writer, one of our most recent staff members. We are very privileged to have her. She brings skills in literary and cultural analysis and a highly attuned sensitivity to oppressed and disempowered people. She's also a prolific writer. She has recently published a book, and she is very active in a number of areas. Dr. Nixon, we welcome you.
Thank you, Dr. Morgan, and thank you, Professor Mohammed, and welcome everyone. So I'm going to be very brief and tell you a little bit about our rationale, some of our objectives for the project. And you'll see a lot of this already on your brochure, but just to kind of give you a sense of it and go over it. So what we wanted to do was to think about, on the one hand, what are the specific challenges that contemporary people, working populations are facing in terms of work and family commitments? And then what are the things that are affecting that? So what is the balance between having elder care but also elder support? That's something we're really conscious of, that people are not only benefiting from having elders in their lives, but also at the same time can also be dealing with care issues and also child care. And so we also have the question of, are elders assisting in child care, and how does that add certain kinds of stress to family life? Or for some people, or it could be a combination, when dealing with multiple elders in your life and different kinds of families, that you may have some elders who need more care, some elders who are helping with your children, and then a number of different scenarios, and also extended families. The other thing that we want to think about, what is the work of the elder in the home, and how is that being facilitated? How does that balance, or how does that complicate the work-life balance situation? And what is that? How do we think about strain and burden, but also we think about the benefits of having elders in our lives? We also want what we'd like to do in this project when we produce our findings and recommendations. We know there's a critical need, as Professor Mohammed already outlined, for us to have this information and this data. So we want to, one, create a series of public engagement so that people can have a language and an understanding of some of the challenges that people are facing. We also want to have this empirical data so we can inform employers and also employees so that they can access the kinds of services perhaps they may need. We also want to focus social attention on some of the needs of the family to engage a public conversation and a dialogue. And of course, to have a gendered analysis of aging and the experience of working populations, but particularly of aging, to make that a center and contribute to the field of gerontology. And of course, public awareness, as Professor Mohammed talked about, in terms of our research impact being very, very important. So what's unique about this study is that often when you hear work-life balance, it's really focused on the human resource part of it, right? Like how are human resources able to assist or sometimes create more challenging issues for working people. What we're interested in is talking to working people themselves, as well as engaging in people who are in human resources across different fields and different kinds of work. But what we want to do, the kind of innovation of this study, is to expand the relationship between the public and the private. And so we're going to be using quantitative and qualitative methods of data collection to get at some of these concerns and challenges. And so we're doing a number of things. Of course, all of this is Caribbean-specific case studies when we think about work-life balance and aging. And we want to think about the impact on both policy making and also the training of professionals, as well as our dialogues and discussions about private life. And of course, having that public awareness. So we're doing a few things. We're going to have a pilot study here at UE, and we're going to use journaling and talking circles as a way to get discussions going and to find out what are some of the greatest concerns. We had a kind of pilot talking circle to initiate our research design and to get at questions that people were really, we thought that people most wanted to have addressed in this conversation. So now we're moving into a pilot study at UE, and then we're also going to be doing journaling. So we're going to select people who want to participate in a weekly journal to write down challenges that you experience on a weekly basis. What is your time like? What are the things that are affecting you? And from that, we're going to do some discourse analysis and also poll people for more in-depth interviews. So that's going to be a core part of our analysis. We're also going to have a series of talking circles where we continue to do some of the work that we started, and we're having a few coming up in April and May. We're also going to have a series of expert interviews, which we've already started, to get at some of the people working in various human resources, but also at centers and homes for the aged, and also people working in different fields to get their expertise, to get a sense of what are some of the issues that people are seeing around and throughout the society. And then finally, we're going to, of course, have stakeholder and advisory engagement, which we started very early on in the process, and we'll continue with our relationships with Working Women and TARP and other organizations. So all of our partners, our research partners, will be at the core of each part of our study, from journaling and talking circles, in-depth interviews, expert interviews, and we're also going to, I forgot about one thing, we're also going to do a survey as well where we deal with human resources management, working and people who are involved in human resource management, and then also having a survey generally of people who are experiencing particular kinds of challenges. So if you can't participate perhaps in a journaling but want to do a different kind of questionnaire or survey. So those are the things that we are working on at the moment, and what we really hope to do is that in the process of analyzing and looking at the data, we're then going to produce a collection. And Prof. Mohammed may talk more about that if you're coming back up. But I'll just say we're going to produce a collection that will reveal all of what we've done, but it will also have a public awareness and campaigns attached to it. And of course, a lot of our information will be on the website, and we'll present at conferences and have more of these kinds of press conferences and more dialogues with the public. Great, thank you.